As promised, joining me now are two great legal minds injecting truth, facts, we love that, into the world these days. George Conway is the president of the Society for the Rule of Law, and Liz Oyers is the former pardon attorney for the Justice Department, who was fired last spring for refusing to do Donald Trump's bidding. Okay. As always, there's always breaking legal news. Don't you feel this way? I feel this way. I wish I had a law degree.
I can't keep up.
There's not a lot of information in the story, but I just want to start by asking you about it. I mean, it is, the headline is Justice Department seeks information on Georgia DA who prosecuted Trump. I would note it says in the story the scope of the investigation is not yet clear. Also unclear is whether Ms. Willis is the target of the inquiry. We don't know a lot. It also notes in Georgia, federal investigators are seeking records related to travel they believe Ms. Willis took abroad around the time of last year's election, but it was not immediately clear as to why. So there's not a ton of detail in here. But I just want to ask you, George, about Fani Willis being the person who's named here.
Well, it's the revenge tour. And she's on the list, obviously. And so they're looking for things to find on her. And I guess maybe they think she did something wrong with her reporting of expenses. I don't know. I mean, who knows what this is? And who knows whether it's going to make any sense?
We don't know. Any thoughts you have, Liz?
You know, George is right. The Comey indictment is just the tip of the iceberg. Donald Trump has made it clear that he's going to prosecute all of his enemies, as many as he can possibly fit into the next 3 years, and he's just getting started. So it's no surprise that Fani Willis is on that list.
One of the things that has struck me, and you were both actually lawyers, so I'm very grateful for you being here, is that Trump, and I just sort of outlined this, he loves the headline. He loves the initial, look at that, James Comey has been indicted. It's much harder to go from there to convicting someone, of course. You both know that well. Do you think, George, I mean, you spent a lot of time thinking about this guy. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, too.
Do you think he even cares?
No, he doesn't care whether he wins, loses, or anything like that. It's just everything for him is just sort of the instantaneous sugar high of getting that headline or causing some pain. And if by chance, which I think is likely, he's going to lose this case, the government will lose this case, he's just going to blame it on the judge or blame it on the left or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like, you know, he is looked for. I said it called them his henchmen or henchwomen, whatever you want to call it. Lindsay Halligan is not, whatever you want to call it. She's not a person who's qualified for this position in any judgment of the word, right? I just outlined some of the things that were reported out of the courtroom yesterday. Liz, you know what it's like and what this requires. What stuck out to you of what you've seen about the reporting of how the last few days have gone down?
Lindsay Halligan is a sham prosecutor. She's somebody who was appointed without any relevant qualifications for the job solely because she is loyal to Donald Trump. Her background is as an insurance attorney. She did some work as Donald Trump's personal attorney. She's got no business running one of the largest and most important prosecuting offices in the nation. I think it's really striking that she appears to have presented this case to the grand jury herself, which is not something that she's trained to do, and it suggests desperation. They were so desperate to bring this case that they put somebody with no experience into the grand jury because no career member of the staff of that office, and there are hundreds of career people in that office, was willing to go into the grand jury and bring this case. The grand jury process is very secretive. It's not public. There is no defense lawyer in the room. There's no opportunity to present a defense. So who knows what Ms. Halligan told the grand jury to get this indictment. At this point, there's no reason to trust that the information that was presented was complete or accurate or not misleading.
She couldn't even get all counts of the indictment approved, and then she barely got a majority on the other two. So,
which is like, how does that strike you? Well, I just noted that, but how does that strike you?
Because now somebody's got to go into that courtroom, into an actual courtroom before a federal judge and prove in front of a jury beyond a reasonable doubt something that she couldn't prove as to one count beyond show probable cause for, which is just a very, very low standard. And I mean, I read that there was a former assistant U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia said he had never, ever seen a grand jury reject an indictment. And here it happened on her first try.
And here we are. Let me ask you, because I feel like our intrepid reporters here and others are trying to figure out all the details here. And one of the things that came out today is that the indictment identifies Comey's associate, Daniel Richman, as the person who allegedly leaked at Comey's behest. That's what they're arguing. I'm not validating that in any way. Yet in 2019, during a previous investigation, Richman denied doing so, which strikes me as what are they have to come up with evidence, you guys tell me, that goes beyond that, right? That shows that that was wrong. What, Daniel Richman? So how do you prove in a courtroom, how do you get to the point of a conviction?
There are a lot of elements that they have to prove this case. They have to prove that Comey knowingly made a false statement, that the statement was actually false, and that it was material, meaning that it had the potential to influence an official proceeding, which is not a low bar. They're going to have to subject their evidence to challenge by the defense, and Comey has very good defense lawyers representing him. And if the evidence is not credible, or if they have selectively cherry-picked pieces of information that they presented to the grand jury, that's not going to get them to a conviction in front of a trial jury.
And it's even worse than that, because the count doesn't really say what Comey said. And it comes from an exchange before Congress, before Senator Ted Cruz, that clearly was not about this, was not about Richmond. It was about whether he had authorized McCabe, the deputy director, to leak something to the press, and McCabe testified it wasn't true.
Right, you're right. To your point, I mean, McCabe was the only person referenced in that question.
Correct.
Daniel
also,
Richman's not referenced in the question.
And the overall question that Cruz was going after was a prior question, I think, from a prior hearing that basically said, did you ever direct somebody from the FBI to leak something for you? And it turns out that Richmond was not with the FBI at the time that those memos that they're apparently now talking about in 2017, when both men were not at the FBI. It doesn't even make sense. The charge is on its face flimsy. It doesn't say anything.
And Jen, to get to even that point of trying the case, we're going to have a robust motions practice, most likely, and there will be motions probably for a bill of particulars, which is to get more information about what is the theory of prosecution here, as well as motions to dismiss the indictment. Donald Trump has not done himself any favors by making all of these very inflammatory public statements in which he has informed the public that he's already concluded that James Comey is guilty. That raises questions about whether Comey can even receive a fair trial in front of a jury, whether this is a vindictive prosecution. So there will be opportunities for Judge Nachmanoff to dismiss this case before it even reaches a jury.
Before we even get there.
This indictment is just quintessentially Trumpian. It is both breathtakingly corrupt and mind-blowingly stupid. And that's classic Trump.
Perfect place to end. George Conway, Liz Lawyer, thank you for bringing all your legal
Thanks, Jen.
expertise and energy to us on a Friday evening. We appreciate you both being here.
Thank you.